direction is down, so we need to reverse that and then multiply it by speed. So now if we press F5, no button on the keyboard, left, right, up, down. A, we have not enabled that functionality yet. Now if we press right and move the joystick, nothing happens. I'm moving first on the keyboard and then joystick and nothing changes. Now I'm moving the joystick, move up, then move down on the keyboard. So keyboard takes priority. You can simply change that by determining if there is a gamepad connected. Do nothing with the keyboard. Alright, so now center, if input.center position is equal to center texture and pass a texture. Alright, so that was a simple technique. Move somewhere, press A on the gamepad. Move somewhere, press enter on the keyboard. Enter, A, enter, A, enter, 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 A. So it's working nicely. So all we did here was determine the properties. So if we move up, we know by that name we want to move up, so we change the movement vector to move up. It's a lot better than saying keyboard.y, so it's more useful for other users reading your codes wondering what the Y key does in this current context. So if you have an input class, make sure you name the properties useful to the action you want to perform. Move up. Center, you can change that to center texture to make it more useful, and all that stuff. In here you can determine if input, let's make another method just to demonstrate, public bool any key press. You can make it something useful if you want. Current case state dot get pressed keys dot get pressed keys, and that returns an array, and that's a method and it returns an array, so we open and close in parentheses and a dot there, count. Now there's a whole different ball game going on here where we need to pass the type, which is something we never discussed before. So if we do count, and the keys can be different things, so we just say keys inside the type and opening and closing parentheses, and return at the very beginning. And after keys, opening and closing parentheses is greater than 0. So if it's greater than 0, that'll be true. So if not any input dot not any key press, so it did not press any keys, it will be false. Now, since that returns false, we need to do not, so it'll be true. So let's look at that. Method group. Okay. Opening and closing parentheses, since it's a method, not a property. Okay. So now if we press F5, we press a key, we still cannot move our gamepad because the count is greater than 1. You can look at that by doing some useful debugging by pressing F5. Then when it runs, you can see what's going on. Current case state, nothing going on there, and you can just see what's going on for each individual game loop and all that stuff. So that's how you can determine if the keyboard takes priority by only doing something if any key on the keyboard is pressed. Now that may also be a bad idea, because if I press the Y key, hold it down, I cannot move the joystick because there is a press key going on. So there's some advantages and disadvantages to both. So I just recommend doing the properties. However, if your game is fairly large, when you have 1,000 properties, doing not this property and not this property and not this property 1,000 times might not be a good idea. But at that point, you're probably going to say, okay, if somebody presses the P key, we don't not have that, but we have every other key that does something, we do not want the gamepad to do anything. So advantages and disadvantages to both. You decide on your version. So hopefully you learned something in this tutorial. I hope to see you build your own input system, make it more useful, and do some additional stuff, and hope to see you next time for the menu system. See you later.